All right, welcome everyone to this evening's program on conversations right here. And this evening, we're looking at a very interesting topic, and the topic is punished by the gods. And the questions we're dealing with are, when the gods punish, do they intend to make us reform? Do they intend to see us change? What really is the expectation when we are sent to hell, because we've heard that there is hell that is waiting for us? What does it imply? Are we being sent to hell so that we have time to reform, or we are merely being punished? What exactly does it mean? My discussant this evening is Marita Banda, though we're likely to be joined by Staric Chapula later on the show. But for now, we have Marita, who is going to give her talk in 10 minutes. Marita, are you ready?
I am ready, but it seems like my network is choppy right now.
Oh gosh, I hope it doesn't
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can clearly hear you. Okay, Marita, you have your 10 minutes starting now.
I was out for a few seconds.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just giving Marita a few seconds. Then she gets back. We go on with the program.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm ready to start. So today's topic is punishment by the gods. Does divine punishment intend to lead to reformation? So this is a very loaded topic, and it's quite wide. So when I was preparing for this, the first thing I asked myself is, then the term divine punishment, what does it really mean? So these are the things that I would like to focus on before we go to the Reformation part of it. So who or what is God? To me, God is principle, God is all, God is all-knowing. We communicate with God. The Bible says the communication that we have with God, but we exist as spirits in the flesh. So our origin in relation to religion is based on fear, and fear is the opposite of love. So to me, religious institutions are created to control people. It's an institution of propaganda, whether it is Western, African, Eastern religion, all of them, none of them is exempt. Everyone is used. When we talk about God being love, we know that love covers a multitude of sin. So sin and punishment, to me, when it comes to the idea of reformation, it does not equate. If God's love is unconditional, why should he or she or it bother about punishment? And why should we even have expressions like sin? Man is created in God's image. But I think it's the other way when it comes to religion. Religion tends to create, or man tends to create God in man's image, of being in the flesh, is all we know about God, because we ascribe human qualities to the universal spirit. We tend to, when we talk about God being love, being kind, and God of justice, for me, these are just human expressions. Being a human being and being on earth, having our spiritual nature. Our spiritual nature, the human experience is temporary. The human experience is about experience and emotions, but it's so temporary that we are on the earth and we go through whatever emotions we go through, and we experience what divine, that is with its own laws. We take, for instance, the law of gravity. We are always pulled to the earth. If you are standing on a mountain, standing on a cliff, you try to take a step forward, that we experience the things that is just the effect of our activities, our thoughts. These be human, what it means to be in the flesh, what it means to be on earth. But our bigger and greater nature is that we are spiritual beings. And this is not something that is emphasized in religion. What is emphasized in religion is our human experience. When we go to the scriptures, whatever scriptures we go, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, will tell us that we're spiritual beings, but that's not emphasized because these books are written by human beings. There is a motivation behind whatever it is that is written in the scriptures. And the motivation is to control. I circle back to the idea that God is created in the image of man. And so because God is created in the image of man, we have this reflection of the human experience in all the scriptures. So when we reach a level of maturity, we need to ask ourselves the questions: who writes the Holy Scriptures? What is the motivation? And then on another level, we talk about translations. Most people who are listening right now are Christian people, and they have different Bibles with different translations. Do these translations reflect that were penned down to suit our context now? Recently, maybe in the last 10 years or so, I've come across a Bible which is called the Message translation. I really, really like it. It's so current. If you get a hold of it, you read, for example, in Matthew chapter 6, where there is the Lord's Prayer. It's so current. So then I wonder, was that the intention of the original text that was written in the original language, what the New Testament was written in? So, coming to the question of divine punishment, I don't subscribe to that idea, because to me, it is about nature, and nature has got laws, and the laws are cause and effect. If we know God to be, then our punishment should be in the spiritual realm, not in the physical. But if God is spirit and God is love, then there is no need for punishment. The expression of divine punishment is a creation of mankind. It is based on fear, and fear because the people who are creating religion or who are propagating religion want to control everybody else. It's all part of the propaganda of religion. This is what I have prepared for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Marita, for that presentation. I think, let me just find out from Staric. Staric, are you ready to speak, or we can go ahead discussing the presentation by Marita? Staric? Staric? Please just unmute yourself. Okay, it seems we have a problem with Staric there. Now, a very key issue that Marita has brought out is this whole idea of divine punishment is actually man-made. It's man has created this. And of course, she brings out the idea that the books, the holy books, the books that were called holy, the holy books, were actually written by man. So I think this brings serious issues. At this point, I would like to open up, to open up the discussion to members of the audience. Let's get your comments. What are comments on this subject? When we are sent to hell, what is it all about? Is there really such a thing as hell? Do we need to be sent to hell if hell really is there? I think those are the questions that we have to deal with. So comments from members of the audience. Anyone with courage to speak on this? Yes, Mrs. Moyo.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear
you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and thank you very much, Marita, for that beautiful presentation. I find the presentation fascinating because the perspective that Marita takes is the perspective that I also get to have personally. I argue that we have reduced the power of God. We have reduced the significance of God simply because we want to cage God, for lack of a better word. We want God to respond to our standards, to our human standards, and we cage the power that God really has because we want to make God human. God is love, like Marita has said. In Matthew, for instance, based on Christianity now, in Matthew we read that when we ask, God is going to answer. He's going to give us, okay? And what I like most is the reference to say, when a child asks for bread, you're not going to give them a stone. So if us, mere human beings, mere mortals, are not going to give a stone to a child who asks for bread, we're not going to give a snake to a child who asks for bread, how about God, who loves us so much, who is immortal? I think that verse alone, from the Christian perspective, speaks of the abundant love that God has for us, because it simply compares the level of love that I have for my children to the level of love that God has for me. So personally, I don't think there's any crime or offense or sin that any of my daughters could ever commit that would make me punish them so much that I throw them in a dungeon of hell where they're going to burn and burn and burn forever. So I really feel we have misinterpreted God and his power, because if really he loves us that much, I really don't see him getting joy from seeing his children burn forever and ever. So yeah, I think that is my take. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so very much for that contribution. God loves us so much such that he cannot bend that. Actually, Marita says, God, she says, is it a he, a she, and it? I love that view as well. What do others have to say? What do we think? Punishment by the gods, what is it intended to achieve? Is it something that's been created just to scare us as human beings? Jive has his hand up. Warubungu, please give us your comment. Yes, we can get you, though your line seems a bit broken.
Thank you. For me, I think, I don't know whether I will understood the question or misinterpreted it the way it has been couched. I think the key word there is that three key words that I picked from that question.
The sound seems to be quite bad. The connection seems to be very poor. I don't know if there seems to be some some interference. Maybe there's some connection within there that's preventing.
Are you able to get me now?
That's a little better, but not very, very well.
It's because I'm using. If I remove my headset, I don't know.
Maybe it could be better. Yeah. Yes, Doctor.
Let me call it again.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Can I call it?
Yes, please, you may.
Someone can come in.
Okay, anyone else to comment? Please raise your hand.
No?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
I've managed to get connection. Internet has been very terrible.
Okay, yes, Staric, you can go ahead now.
Okay, I make the presentation or I just comment on what Marita has said?
Let me see. I think we still have some minutes, but you have to make your presentation in about 5 to 6 minutes. So it would be good to hear your views.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
So one of the things that I also researched that I found concerning religion was I basically targeted deities per se and not specifically keeping it to one religious affiliation and what they perceive to be a god or gods. In this case, is that most of the things that really happen when it comes to gods is that we don't necessarily hold them accountable for what they do, in that they are powerful or knowing and the like. And if you really pay close attention to most of these religions, like as Marita alluded, you find that the basic drive or what even makes them thrive is that they instill fear in humans. Now, where did that fear come from? People might ask. You find that all civilizations have had a concept of a god or gods. So we can't say it is one being or there are a lot. But one thing that we can say is that it's human ingenuity per se, such that it drives humans to come up with a being that is bigger and greater than them. That has to be all the things that man lacks or knowing, because man cannot know everything. So you ascribe aspects like that to a being that is, or even a deity that should have those qualities that you don't possess. Now, when it comes to the aspect of punishment. And as Mrs. Moyo said, God being love from the Christian perspective, Christians believe that there is hellfire. And if a God loves you, or if you love your child, why would you even give them an option of, okay, say you have free will, you can either choose A, meaning you're choosing me, your God, and B, you're choosing something else. But if you choose me, you're going to go to heaven. And if you choose B, you're going to go to hell. I think any rational person who can understand this, automatically you have to choose A, because you're scared. If you choose B, you're going to burn in hell. We've seen this with people who even question God. Like in the Bible, we saw Jonah, when he was told, do this, when he refused, a deity made it so that he was forced to go to a place where he clearly refused to go. So I'm made to believe that there is more to it, in that we as humans will always want to equate or associate anything that we think is impossible to some being or some powers. That's one thing that I came to realize after making my own research. I think due to time, I'll end here and then we can continue with the discussion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Staric. Great. So, where we seem to be still going or believing that actually we shouldn't really have this punishment come in when we've been actually given a choice. So if we're given a choice, if someone says choose between A or B, then you shouldn't be punished for making such a choice, because when someone gives you, those two choices, it means that they believe that both are okay, because you cannot tell someone that choose between this that is going to hurt you and this is that is going to make your life better, and this is someone who loves you. I think it really raises a lot of issues at that point. Yeah. Do we have other comments? We have 8 minutes to the end of this discussion. Any other comments? Warubungu, are you ready to speak now?
Mr. Gankhanani, are you getting me now?
Still quite difficult.
What about now?
Okay, let's continue and see how it turns out.
Hello?
Yes, I'm saying let's continue. You speak and see.
Are you getting me now?
Yes, speak and we see how it turns out.
Okay, I think this discussion is quite mammoth, and we can approach it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
We can approach it from the theoretical perspective. In this case, we are looking at the two theories, consequentialist theory and the retribution theory. To an extent that you begin to realize that the God's punishment is to some extent necessary, and to a certain extent unnecessary. I hope you are getting me where I'm driving to.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
Yes, we are following.
Hello?
Yes, we are following, Dr. Lubuku.
I think I've lost you. Are you getting me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Hello?
We can hear you. Dr. Lubungu.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a connection problem there with Jive. Yes. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Okay. I think there's a problem there with connection with Jive, probably because of the network. Do we have anything else with a comment?
Hello?
Hello, Jive. Okay, anyone else with a comment before we end this discussion?
Yes, please.
Yes, Eugene. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Well, I believe that when we look at the concept of retribution coming from the supposedly divine and all-loving God, I think we have to go back to history of religion.
Mm-hmm.
That throughout the history of religion, it has been accepted that there is some kind of a supernatural being that communicates with its creatures or beings in thoughts and in essence of itself. And usually that has been ascribed to man's spirit. And from that perspective, it has led mankind to contemplate on that supernatural being. And it is from there that men have come up with what they suppose to be, okay, a way in which this supernatural being has to work and do things, of which that's not the case. No one can know or perceive what God or gods think and do, because we already know that God is all loving and omnipotent and all that. I think that the concept of retribution in terms of divine, that's not what God intends to do if he is all loving. That is why throughout history, he continually makes a covenant with his people, if we are to take it from the scriptural perspective, to continue to call his people towards him. And that in itself is a sign of love. And it says there is no parent who would want to harm their own children. So if God does that, I think there is no way we think we should take it to a form that it is a kind of retribution whereby God is intending to punish us so that we are reformed. That's not, this is, I take it as some kind of an interpretation that us human beings or men have come up with after contemplating this supernatural being. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. We are really thankful. Yeah, so it seems this is a complex issue, of course. It's a complex discussion, and the question remains, does God really want to hate us? Does he want to punish us? And it seems almost everyone is driving the direction that this is man's own creation. It's man who has chosen to, to make God seem to be wanting to punish. It's like the gods are not really intended to, to punish us. They do not intend to punish us. Now, Marita says the gods are punishing us for this discussion. That's why we have this poor connectivity. Quite an interesting view there. Yeah, but well, yeah, I think it's really, an interesting aspect, and I think it's something that we really need to think through. Maybe why should man insist that the gods are always interested in punishing man? If you don't do this, I'll punish you. If you don't do this, I'll punish you. Is that the way we deal with our earthly children? We probably do not. So it's a complex issue, and I think we still need a lot of time to, to explore this subject. Allow me to thank everyone for being part of this evening's discussion. We will continue again with another topic equally interesting, which we'll be sharing in due course. So thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. We end our discussion here.